Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Spin Cycle podcast talking to the personalities, the groups, and the brands that make London and the UK an incredible place to be a cyclist. Today, we've got a good friend of NJ and I's, Donna McConnell, Iron Empress. Donna, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. It is good to be here with familiar faces. Thanks for inviting me on. This feels really awkward, but still.
Yeah, look, listeners, avid listeners and watchers will know we typically break the podcast into three sections, right? So it's the getting to know the person, who are you, how do you get into cycling? Second part, we can talk about the projects you're working on, the difference you're making, the impact you've got on lots of people, Donna. And the third part will be, mainly going into white-bib short chat, my pyramid scheme of getting people to come out for a group ride, etc., etc. So starting from the top, maybe people who don't know you, who are you and how did you get into cycling, Donna?
Well, I mean, it goes back quite a way. My name is Donna McConnell. I grew up on an estate in West London. I started cycling as a kid, really, like everybody else. One of my earliest memories is actually riding my tricycle like a scooter. And I always loved riding bikes, but I didn't own one because my dad, for some reason, he said, my dad's Jamaican, and he was like, girl child enough for ride bike. And that was very unusual for my dad because he literally supported me in anything that I wanted to do. I mean, I became a rapper when I was 18. I didn't go to university and my dad supported me to do that. But I think he was just being tight. But I got a bike from my gran that belonged to one of my aunts, and I rode that into the ground. And it was when I was rapping that one of my friends offered me a bike, a Muddy Fox, for 50 quid. And we're going back to 1988, possibly 89. And I bought it.
Okay.
And I've owned a bike ever since. So yeah, going back to who am I? At that time, I did music and I rapped and I used to ride to the studio. I've always ridden in London. I went on after that. I had my daughter when I was 24, which obviously in our society is considered young. But I always wanted to be a journalist from when I was young. And so after I had my daughter, I went back to study. I did the rap thing for like 5 years. I was part of a group called She Rockers. It was an amazing time in music, and in London, I was at the center of it. But that's a whole nother story, and I don't want to take up too much time.
No. Hang on. Is this the Public Enemy McDonald's story? People need to know this because you told me about this a year ago. Why don't you tell people the Public Enemy story? Have you heard this, Sanjay?
No, I've not heard it.
Yeah, so when I was a teenager, I'd always wanted to be a journalist, but I started hearing this music, hip hop, and I got really into it. And I mean, from what you know of me, you can see that if I get into something, I get into it. Like I want to be it, and I wanted to make. I wanted to make a record as when I started hearing this music, and I went to school with a girl who also was into this music. We were anomalies in our school. Her name was Betty Boo. Her rap name was Betty Boo. Her name's Alison. And we ended up starting a group together. And we went to the Public Enemy concert at Hammersmith Apollo. And afterwards we met Public Enemy. We met some of the members of Public Enemy, Professor Griff and some of the S1Ws in McDonald's in Shepherd's Bush, which was our local area. And we rapped for them and they videotaped it. And that video lives on YouTube and you can go and watch it. And and she was one incarnation of the group, and there was another incarnation of the group without her. So, but like I said, that's a long story. We're getting off track here. So yeah, I bought this Muddy Fox off my friend, and I always kept a bike, and among my friends, I was the only one that ever rode a bike, and I just used my bike for errands, and whenever it got stolen, I would get a new one. And when I had my daughter, because I was so passionate about riding bikes when I was young, I made sure she got the bike she wanted. I got her a BMX. It was not a great BMX; it was too heavy. Made sure she could ride a bike from when she was 4. And when I was at uni studying, after I'd had my daughter, I was on the internet and I saw this thing called triathlon. Like, that's when I first learned about triathlon. I must have been about 26, 27 then. Obviously, I'm 54 now, but I did not do my first triathlon until I was 46. In my mid-30s, I went to do a postgrad at City University. The train fares had gone up, so I was like, I need to get a bike. I'm going to ride to uni in Islington from South London. So I bought a road bike off eBay. It cost 50 quid. And I bought a road bike because I saw J-Lo in a video. She did this parody of Flashdance. These are all my 80s touch points. Parody of Flashdance, and she had a road bike. And I just thought, wow, that looks really cool. And Flashdance is a cool film. Yeah. And so I bought the road bike and I loved it. I never wore Lycra really or anything. I just wore my normal clothes. I rode to uni and I came back. Yeah. And then I got a job in journalism. I won't say where because you'll hate me. I got a job in journalism, and I got on the cycle to work scheme, and I got a specialized Dolce, the women's specific road bike. And in my mind, I was like, I'm going to do this triathlon thing. I guess I was so busy with motherhood, with studying. I did a 3-year degree, then I did a 1-year postgrad. I never heard about cycling clubs, nothing. The first time I saw women racing bikes was the 2012 Olympics. And I was like, oh, wow, you could do this for a living. I felt kind of cheated because obviously I'm an athlete, I'm ready. I was ready. But I felt kind of cheated because I'd never seen it before. Honestly, I'm trying to think, had I seen it before then? But I watched all of the 2012 Olympics. I mean, I was still working in journalism then, and it was just amazing to see. And obviously Britain was doing really, really well. I had been commuting to work. I'd had a couple of accidents. Well, not accidents. I'd been knocked off my bike twice. After the 2012 Olympics, it got so busy on the road, I actually stopped cycling for a few years. But then I signed up for my first triathlon when I was 46, and I completed it. And
nice.
I felt like I wanted to do more.
Where was the triathlon?
It was the London Triathlon. I did the sprint distance.
Ooh.
I mean, at that time, I was fit, but I wasn't a strong swimmer. I'm still not a strong swimmer. So, but I just found a training plan on the internet, and I trained for it in 8 weeks, and I completed it. And the feeling I felt when I got to the finish line, was a feeling that I don't think I had really felt for a long, long time. Yeah, it just felt amazing. And then a couple years later, I was starting to approach 50. And in my mind, I just knew that there was something else out there for me. I'd done a long stint at a national newspaper, was showbiz editor online, was really, really successful, but really long hours, grueling work. I mean, I had a great time. I, traveled, I met celebrities, I met royalty, I went to major award ceremonies. I really had a good time in that space. But then I got to a point where I knew that I just felt like I'm getting too old for this shit, I enjoy No, I mean, because when you're a showbiz journalist, editor, there's a lot of drinking, there's a lot of partying, you're burning the candle both ends. I was in my mid-40s by then. And I always liked fitness. So I thought my next job, I want more work-life balance, and I want to explored doing more of this triathlon stuff. And then I saw on Instagram, I saw this account, 10 Iron Women, and there was a group of women and they were training to do Ironman. And Ironman had always been like something in the back of my mind, like, oh yeah, I'd love to do that. Wow, that's insane. I'll probably never do it. But as I was approaching 50, I just felt like I wanted to do something different. I wanted my life to be different. But I didn't want it to be work focused. I wanted it to be just focused on living and enjoying life. Yeah, so I decided to train for an Ironman because there's a lot of enjoyment in that. And then I signed up. I watched them do their training, and I was really inspired by them. And I just thought, if not now, when, just do it.
Yeah.
And that is what brought me into contact with group cycling, because I needed to find people to ride with, to do the training rides. Yeah. Funnily enough, a guy that I grew up with, same estate, I bumped into him at a funeral, as you do, and he told me about a cycling group called Black Cyclist Network. And, he said that he rode with them and they do sessions at Regent's Park and whatever. And that's how I met NJ.
That's facts.
Yeah.
And I finally made it down to one of their sessions, and that was the first cycling club I ever rode with.
Amazing.
And that was, sorry,
I'm a little bit, I think I'm delayed again, but what I was going to say was the thing that I think NJ and I have talked about with people, lots of people, is the fundamental thing that cycling's a little bit of a loner pursuit. It's a bit of a solo endeavor, and you get on your bike or you commute or you do whatever you need to do, and then somehow the elevator doors open and that you find other people, and you're like, it might not be the first one, might not be your best one. You might find another group or you might find another one, but the doors open, you go, oh, I found my people here. These are the people I want to spend a lot of time with.
I mean, obviously, I rode with 10 Iron Women, and I think my first long ride was with them, and we went to Brighton. And up until that point, I'd only ridden from Vauxhall to Ealing, and I found that challenging. And then I got to Ditchling Beacon.
I was going to ask you that question. How did you find Ditchling?
As soon as the road started rising, I got off my bike. I was terrified. Like, I was struggling. I struggled on that ride. It's like 50 miles. To me, that's nothing now. But I struggled. I cried. I cried before I even got to Ditchling. But I loved it. I loved it. And I wanted to get better. So then I started seeking out groups and places where I could learn more and get better. And, all credit to BCN. They gave me the peek behind the curtain. And once I saw it, I was in. And I was like, where has this been all my life? And I think, Cam, you sort of mentioned about my experience as a Black woman and as a woman in cycling. I mean, I think one of the major barriers to women getting involved is access to, even just knowing about it. I grew up on an estate in West London, inner city. We had people rode BMXs, there were choppers, there were grifters. No one rode a road bike. No one I knew rode a road bike. I don't even really remember seeing them that much. I know I was interested in things like Tour de France and whatever, but everyone was into football. We didn't have cycling clubs. No one came to talk to us about cycling clubs. I mean, we did, the proficiency test at school on the bikes. Yeah. That was it. I didn't really know about this whole world of cycling. I didn't know about clubs and stuff. It just didn't exist. And I definitely think that's a bit of a problem.
Mhm.
But obviously, it's changed now quite a bit. And that's part of the reason why I share my stuff on Instagram, just to make it visible, just to make it
Mm.
open, accessible, just to show
Yeah.
women and Black women that, look, this is here and it's for you too. You know, if you want to get involved, this is where it is. This is how you get involved. Or, you know, just like when I started riding, I saw accounts. There were other Black women that were riding, obviously before me. People like Velo, people like Yui Asandi, people like Delilah Lecky. You know, women like Phoebe Perry. Loads of women. I saw their accounts and saw the things they were doing and thought, oh yeah, I want to do that. I want to do that. So I just think it's really important for women to share what they're doing, because there are other women out there that want to do it. And, you know, you can really encourage someone to just get involved.
Do you know what I will say is that, and we're going to mention my wedding again for probably the 8th time. My mum, you know my mum, you've met my mum. Hi, mum.
Yeah.
She's inspired by you. She's inspired by you and Jan.
Oh,
She's inspired by you, and she even said at my wedding, I'm going to embarrass her now, but it was a very heartwarming moment for me. She said, "That's Donna. That's the Iron Empress over there, isn't it?" And I said, "Yeah." I know Donna quite well. She came over and chatted to
oh,
you. And so, like, my mum, she cycled Land's End to Lowestoft, so that's west to east.
wow.
Yeah, you inspired her as well, for sure. So yeah, hats
Oh,
off to you, Don.
amazing. Oh, I appreciate that, you know. And I think, you know, as an older woman, I think, you know, I just show that you can do it. You can still do it. You know, if there's something out there that you want to do, you shouldn't let your age or, you know, your size or anything stop you from doing it. Yeah, I struggle at times, definitely. Like when we did a Rocker Corba, I mean, it was tough. It was tough. But
I think,
the main battle is in your head. It's in your mind, you know, because definitely training for Ironman definitely taught me that you have to train yourself to do these things. No one is born just being able to get up and get on the bike and ride 100 miles at speed and then be able to get off and run a marathon. You have to train your body and train your mind to know that you can do it. And, you know, when we go places like Girona, places that I dreamt about going, and I know I've got to do some 5 kilometer climb or something, you know, I have to talk myself into it. I have to, you know, I have to give myself the pep talk. I have to have David Goggins in my ear shouting at me saying, you know, don't F word or whatever it is he says. Um, but yeah, it's there for everyone. And I think, you know, with cycling, there's lots of different ways that you can cycle. So you can be you know, you can be a casual commuter. You can just do coffee rides. You know, ride with mates. You can be power meter, elite cyclists. You can enter sportives. But I really want women to enter more events. That's because I feel like that's where the joy is, you know. I
yeah.
feel like that's where the real joy is. And, you know, training for something, entering an event, completing it, getting a medal. I mean, lots of my friends are runners, and, you know, a friend of mine, Charlie, he started Rundom Crew, which really revolutionized
Massive.
running club culture in the UK, worldwide. But
Mm.
I I never had the urge to run a marathon. You know,
Yeah.
I've never run a half marathon. I never ran a half marathon until I trained for Ironman. It just, I liked running, but I never wanted to run that far. But with cycling, I want to go far. You know, there's just something about it that I enjoy it. I enjoy it more. I enjoy being outside. It's nice if it's warm, obviously. It's even okay if it's cold, but I like going far on the bike.
Well, look, maybe we use this opportunity to take a break and we can hear about how Donna's making massive impact in other people's lives other than my mother.
Welcome back, everyone. So you spoke about the 10 Iron Women. How did, I guess, from what you were mentioning in section 1 to now, how has the, I guess, 10 Iron Women developed?
Well, the first year that they took part in Ironman Barcelona, I think there was 10. The year that I did it, I think there was 12 of us. Then the year after that, I think there was, I can't remember how many there were, but I went back to Barcelona with them last year and there were 50 women signed up, more than 50
Wow.
women to do Ironman
Amazing.
Barcelona. And, you know, they really pushed hard to really raise the visibility of the work that they're doing and to get more women on board. They partnered with the Ironman organization and they made a film about 10 Iron Women, which I was a part of. Also, Full Steam Sport made a film about 10 Iron Women, which I was a part of. And, you know, the goal is to get 50-50 participation in an Ironman event. And, you know,
do you know what the part, do you know what the divide is at the moment?
I think at the last, I'm probably going to get that statistic wrong, but I will say that 10 Iron Women were the biggest triathlon club at the event. But
amazing,
huge.
Yeah, it's definitely about. I don't even think it's 20%.
Oh, no.
But don't on that. But yeah, I mean, everybody just contributes to getting involved in sharing the message. And, you know, if I can help in any way that I can, I'm always very visible about the stuff that I do with them and the stuff that I do myself in triathlon, you know. Like I said, I really think it's important for women to get involved in events. Taking part in Ironman, it really was life-changing for me because not only did it introduce me to cycling, which I absolutely love, but it just gave me just an amazing confidence at a time where I was changing in life as a woman. Like once you get to 50, you can go either way. You can start cozying up to the couch and think, all right, you know, I've worked really hard. I can take it down a notch. Or you can get adventurous with it. I mean, I have challenges as a woman of a certain age. You know, I'm going through menopause, I'm perimenopausal, so that affects my training. But younger women, they have to deal with, you know, periods and stuff. So at any stage of your life, as a woman, you're gonna have particular challenges that a lot of male athletes won't have. But I just feel like, you know, being active is so important for everyone, but especially for women, because we bear a lot of extra burden in this society. We need to have some time to ourselves, you know, to let off steam and get involved in things. And all the women that I know, especially in 10 Iron Women, they're so strong, such amazing athletes. There's a lot of women that did Ironman last year that never thought they would complete something like that. And I think when you're raised in a society which is male dominated, your competency is always questioned. As a woman, as a Black woman, I think more so than men. I've definitely grown up in a time where your competency is always questioned. So I just think in general, women can sometimes lack. We don't have the same confidence as men, because a man will be rubbish at something and will still sign up for an event, you know. I've been on snowboarding trips where the guys hadn't ever had a snowboarding lesson and they still went to the top of the mountain. You know, just a woman would never do that. You know, a woman would be
I think we're just dumb, Donna.
Oh, I didn't say it.
I'm saying it.
I didn't
We're
say
fucking
not
done.
all men, but there's like this mad. They'll just have a go, won't they? And that's what I think women need to. We need to have a bit more of that. Just have a go. It's okay to fail. It's okay to not get it the first time round. I mean, I DNF'd my second Ironman attempt. That you're asking me, like, how do you, get the confidence or train for something like that? You literally just have to build yourself from the ground up.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'd never done a marathon. I'd never run a half marathon. I'd never swum more than 750 meters. I'd never biked more than 40 kilometers. I started training the year before the pandemic. Was it the year before the pandemic? Yeah, I started
2019?
in 2020, so March 2020, and then it got postponed. But I kept training. Went out riding with groups. I listened to mindset podcasts. I listened to affirmations every morning. When I went running, I listened to podcasts about resilience. All cyclists, Ineos people, whatever.
Yeah.
Anything I could to like feed my brain. You constantly have to be trying to override the messages that say you're not going to do this, you can't do this. And fear as well, the fear of not being able to complete it. So I just completed my sessions. You just keep ticking off the sessions, try to be as prepared as possible. I'm not a super athlete at all. I'm quite strong because I've always trained, I've always done weights, I've always done a bit of something at some point. And when I was young, I was always into sport, always into athletics. The movement has always been a part of my life in some form or another. I've had couch potato years where I've done nothing. But then once I started getting back into it, I was like, no, this is it. I have to stay fit, because once you're fit, if you get unfit, it just feels horrible. You know
Drives you
what the
crazy.
feeling of being fit is like. So you don't want to ever get to that unfit point again, because it's so hard to get back there. I am back there though.
It's good to hear.
But yeah, just keep ticking off the sessions and just build that resiliency, build it, and
Maybe
you'll get there.
When you when you kind of first started, with the 10 Iron Women, and you started your first, and now you're quite well experienced in doing the Ironman, doing the triathlon. Is there any advice maybe you'd give other than building your resilience to people getting into it? I know you said give it a go, build up the resilience. Is there any, what would you say is the key to your success in kind of achieving what you've done so far?
I think you just got to start small, really. You just got to start small, and don't be too hard on yourself. You don't have to have all the gear. You don't have to spend hundreds of pounds on all this new shit like I did. Just start small. Join a community. Don't feel like you have to be alone, and just enjoy it. My thing with anything that I do, any of the activities that I do, I have to find the enjoyment in it. I'm not one of those people that just wants to suffer and be unhappy. If there's not joy in it, there's no point in doing it. So yeah, it's hard training, and sometimes you don't want to do it, and going up mountains is challenging, but at the same time it's amazing, so just always try and find the joy in what you're doing. I mean, ultimately, I'm not doing it for kudos. I'm doing it for me. I'm doing it to be fit and to keep moving, through my older years. I was really motivated, actually, because to stay active, because my dad, he had a stroke in his 50s. He was a heavy smoker when he was a bit younger. And, it really affected his health, and he was diabetic.
Yeah.
And it affected his mobility. And I saw how much he struggled with it. I mean, he passed a few years ago now. I saw how much it affected him mentally to be getting older and not be able to go and do what he wanted to do when he wanted to do it, because he was fiercely independent. So, I definitely made a promise to myself that I would really always focus on mobility, keep moving, just find something that I enjoyed to do and just keep doing it. And I'm lucky that I found that with cycling and triathlon.
So maybe kind of moving on, some of the work you do with Fettle, right? I was seeing, I think I've seen you in a few adverts, not least some maybe from one of cycling's biggest retailers. But maybe you can tell us some of the work that you're doing with Fettle Bikes, Donna.
Well, I met Jada on a panel talk, and Ilma, who also works at Fettle, she was one of the first women that I met in cycling, and she was a ride leader at Rafa, the Shoreditch. Was it Shoreditch? The Shoreditch branch that they used to have.
Yeah, the one in Spitalfields Market.
That's it, Spitalfields. And we used to go to Lee Valley. They used to do community rides at Lee Valley Track Velo Park. And yeah, after I met Jada, we did this panel talk. She approached me to be an ambassador for the brand. Fettle is it's owned by a woman in cycling, which is a rarity, and they're very much part of the cycling community. They do a lot of initiatives. They do workshops to teach women how to look after their bikes and stuff. And part of my role is really just to highlight women in cycling and highlight the stuff that I'm doing in cycling. They look after my bikes when I'm doing events and stuff, when I'm racing, which is really, really helpful. And, I use my platform really even before I got involved with people like Fettle or Rafa. I use my platform just to encourage women to ride bikes. And I really want women at any age to really take this up, and the younger you are, the better. I mean, you have more time to enjoy it. But also, if you're not young, you can still enjoy it. And I think that's something that really resonates with Fettle. We are talking about doing some events later this year, but we haven't as yet locked down what we're going to do. But Ilma and I will be talking. Because I want to do some stuff in the community, especially the community where I live in Vauxhall, because I feel like these are the sort of areas where there's just no real awareness of the world of cycling. And that's, you want to get the kids young, you want to get them involved. I see, kids around cycling and stuff and learning to cycle, but yeah, we're just down the road from Herne Hill, the velodrome, and it would be great to get some of them down there. And I know that there's a few initiatives running. TWR, they do an initiative where they're training the kids at the velodrome, and it's specialised. UWE's done something. And, the more the merrier. Bricks and Cycles do a lot of work in the community as well. So yeah, I think it's important for everyone to do their part, and I'm happy to be involved where I can, and where I can lend support, I will.
I mean, what I will say isn't this is as terrible as this is. The cycling world, frankly, hasn't moved on. Just call a spade, and that it's still mainly white middle class Europeans that are male, that are cyclists, right? And that's just endemic. But the fact that if anyone goes into a bike shop, modern bikes, any bikes, you really don't know what you're doing, and you're at the mercy of a bike mechanic.
Yeah.
To an extent, it's like taking your car around. it's like taking your car around and you go, my car's broken, I don't know how to fix it. You know, frankly, those are the skills that are there, and maybe the inherent problem with cycling is its gender issue, and it, you know, that's what it really comes down to, I feel. So Fettle sounds like they're really important to it.
Yeah, you know, and I think the fact that it's a female-owned business, it does to a certain extent. You know, there's an awareness that that is an issue. So you don't get that type of treatment when you go there. And I mean, me personally, I got a Cannondale Super 6 Evo. I had that a few years ago when I started doing triathlon. And yeah, it was nice, but I bought it too big. I bought a size too big, and I never looked after it. I never did anything before I got my SL6. I didn't even clean a chain, you know. I never looked after my bikes, but then I just thought, oh, I spent a lot of money on this bike. I need to understand how it works, you know. I need to look after it, and I need to learn about it, and so that's what I did. But yeah, like you said, same with a car. Well, I never knew anything about cars, but you kind of have to understand a little bit about what what you're talking about when you go to a bike shop. You can't just stay ignorant about things like that.
Yeah.
I don't think you can. And I do, you know, I often speak to other women, and I'll be like, you know, obviously in cycling there's a lot of people giving you information. I definitely found that in the beginning, and
there's a lot of information out there.
Yeah, there's a lot of information out there, and of course, you know, some of it is useful when you're in a group setting for people to share information, or for you to have people to ask questions of, you know. But definitely as a woman, there's a lot of times when guys just force information on you. It's just it can be really annoying.
I was talking to somebody that Donna, I know that you know, and we definitely know this person. She told me that she was once in Richmond Park. Someone saddled alongside her and gave her some advice about her cadence, even though she actually races bikes. All two of us know her very well. Both of us are very good friends with this girl.
Yeah, that sort of thing. You know, seats too low. Or, oh, why have you got this on your bike? Why have you got that on your bike? Like, kill me now. But yeah, I mean, like you said, you know, cycling for a long time has been really dominated by one image. And you know, I think that's people can be quite down on social media, but this is what I think is the great thing about social media, is that you can put your own image out there, you know.
Yeah.
And I mean, honestly, that's just what I've done. I've just put myself out there. I put myself in the picture, because I'm the type of person that, you know, the way that I've lived my life is, there's not a room that I don't feel like I belong in. There's not a place that I don't feel that I can't go, to be honest. And you know, if I don't know about it, I don't know about it. But once I know about it and I want to be there, I'm going to be there. You know, I'm going to open the door myself. You know, I'm not going to wait for the invitation. And I think that's what it is with cycling. Obviously, the pandemic and that was a bit of a doorway for a lot of people to get involved. And, you know, that's how I ended up being with Chain Gang Cyclists, because they were formed during the pandemic. Yannick and Chris, you know, started this cycling group. And when I was training for Ironman, I could see them out there having fun. And I was kind of like in the last phase of my training. So I couldn't really, I was training on my own then to get used to just being out on doing the 100 miles on my own. But I said, yeah, when I finished, I'll come and join you guys for a ride, because they did always just look like they were having fun. As soon as I finished, it was just like, whoo. And I rode with them at Friday laps and stuff. And we just had such a great time. You know, we just clicked instantly. And, you know, out of something so awful, something really amazing has just bloomed. And, you know, we're all part of this community that's just full of really inspiring people. They love to create adventures for us and take us away, take us to the Isle of Wight, take us to Girona. Like, we are having just the best time with them. And yeah, I just love being a part of that group.
How do you balance the CGC fun with, I guess, future training? Have you figured that one out?
No, I haven't actually. Well, I haven't actually. Well, I mean, last year was a challenge, because obviously the first event that I did, the Ironman, that was all I was focused on. And then that was 21. I actually can't remember what I did in 2022. What did I do in 2022? 2022, I did a half Ironman distance, Cotswolds Classic, and I did Ride London, and I did half marathon. I did some smaller events, but I only did a half Ironman distance that was manageable. Then this year, last year I was training for Ironman. And we went to Girona, and then I went to Scotland and did NC 500 with 10 Iron Women. So that was kind of like training, but I don't feel like I really got the balance right of my training. But also I had an injury with my knee, so I couldn't do enough running. So that was a problem as well. And I had a couple of periods where I had to rest. But yeah, on my Strava, it said that cycling was the majority of my training last year. Swimming was like 15%. Running was less. Running was less. So yeah, it is a challenge, but this year I'm not going to do a full Ironman. I'll do a half, probably around July, and I think that will be manageable. We're going to Girona in April. I'm doing Ride London in May.
Do you ever set yourself targets, I guess, with Girona and Ride London to be better your time, or do you just enjoy, I guess, the participation in Ride London, and then I guess everyone will go up Rockacora again? So
no, I definitely will set myself a target to go faster at Ride London. Yeah, I mean, it's closed roads, isn't it? So it's nice to sort of challenge yourself a little bit. I mean, I did have a stop last year, so maybe I'll just try and do, a quick 10 minutes this year, and I will cut my time. But it is good to see, like, I know Strava can be a bit wanky and whatever, but it is good to see, especially for me as an older woman, that, oh, I'm faster than I was 2 years ago, because most people are slowing down, they're not getting faster. But, my mentality is, well, what can I do to make myself get a little faster, or, go a bit harder? So yeah, when we go back to Girona, I'll definitely be I think I definitely was faster last time when I went. But I do challenge myself, but I don't beat myself up. No, I do beat myself up. I'm lying. I'm absolutely lying. I'm absolutely lying. But then I always try to think of, well, what can I do to get a bit better? Can I clean up my diet? Can I get better sleep? Can I train a bit more consistently? And I think that's how cycling just gets you. You just, what can I do to get better? I mean, I heard Gareth Winter talking about marginal gains, but then if you're not doing the maximal thing, really very interesting stuff. But the people that I'm around, they're so supportive that you never really ever feel too bad if you're not on the same level. you know, and they do inspire you to go harder as well.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm
So
just
when are we
rambling.
going to see? I want to know when we're going to when are we going to see at North London Hills CGC? That's the real question.
I'll be at the
Vic.
next one. I'm not even lying. I'm not even lying.
Oh,
I'll be at the next one because I'll tell you. I'm going to.
This is being recorded on the 15th of January, so that's going to be
towards the end of the
maybe the
month.
28th. Yeah, 28th.
Yes, every 2 weeks, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have to start a slower group for me, but I need to do it. I need to start getting up some hills. When I went to Scotland, it was absolutely amazing training. It was, and doing that straight after Girona was tough. It was really tough, but it's a place that I'd always wanted to go. You know, you see Scotland, you know that it's tough cycling there. I want to go Yorkshire as well.
I love Yorkshire. So
Yeah, and Wales.
although when I went to Yorkshire in like September, it was 2 degrees. It was, I was like, I'm ready for the sun, and there was no sun. It was just like, but because I was there, I took my bike. I was like, I have to go out, so I did like some like 80k loop
Yeah.
in just basically like the rain on carbon rims.
Well, I think you know you're not going to get sun when you get to Yorkshire. Yeah, you know you're not going to get.
They say it's God's county, don't they? Maybe God don't like the sun.
It's just one of those places that I imagine is always grey. Sorry, Yorkshire people.
When I explain France to my in-laws, they always say to me, because they live in the south of France, right, where it's like 40 degrees or it's snowing. People are either skiing or playing handball, I guess. And they always, the way I explain them is, oh no, London's not rainy and it's not sunny, it's just grey. It's gris. And they're like, what do you mean it's grey? I'm like, no. I can only describe it as grey. It's slightly humid, not hot, not cold. It's just grey.
It kills me, that greyness. It really does.
Hit them with all of like all of the terms for weather, like muggy. Try and explain what muggy is. So previously, Donna, you were talking about, I guess, finding a place to fit in, and one of our previous guests was Miles, who set up the Cycling Culture Club. Can you? And you just recently had I guess the post on their I guess collective. So do you want to speak about that?
Yeah, I mean, I met Miles, actually, I did some freelance PR work at the company that he works at. And then we sort of stayed in touch since then. And yeah, he's getting together a blog and possibly a podcast. And he's asked quite a few of us from, you know, our cycling community to get involved. I mean, I'm a journalist by trade, and obviously I do write stuff on Instagram, you know, not super long stuff, but yeah, you know, I'm keen to write some stuff about my love of cycling and, you know, where I fit in this community and stuff. And one thing I definitely feel that's important that I've noticed since I've been a part of the community is that obviously a lot of the voices that come out of the community are male. And I really feel like women need to get more involved in talking about cycling, writing about cycling, podcasting about cycling. Like, we need to raise our voices in this community. I mean, I write. I've always written, so for me, it's not a big leap to get involved in something like this. You know, cycling has changed. There is more diversity of thought in cycling now. There's diversity of age, shape, race, gender, you know, sexuality, and everybody needs to be able to express themselves in this community. I remember when I first got involved and I realized that there wasn't a women's Tour de France race. I couldn't believe it. I was like, "You what?
Yeah.
It's 2019." I was like, but it was really noticeable how divided by gender, and it was in with the athletes, with the actual elite riders.
All
It was,
honesty, if they wanted to make a proper impact on the women's Tour de France, you would. So the men's Tour de France, obviously it goes through where Clarissa's from. There's like a rolling roadblock for kind of 3 hours either side. So you can't get on the road 3 hours before. Actually, as soon as it goes past, you can get on the road straight away. Maybe it's a kilometre. What they do in the women's Tour de France is everybody comes to France to watch the Tour. And then a week later, they go, oh, by the way, the Tour de France is starting for women. But the caravan's already left.
yeah.
The Tour de France realistically can squeeze in either the women after, typically not before, because the presentations happen at 8 and, the men are out at 9. But what do? You say to the women, okay, the Tour de France typically finishes at 4 in the afternoon, a stage. Start the women an hour before or an hour after. There's the presentation. And then you get the same people on the road. You get the same people coming out. You get the same exposure for sponsors.
I mean, why aren't you running it? It's it's just it's just so sexist. It's very the attitude of some of these organizations. I remember when there was this one guy, you probably know who he is, and he was just so derogatory about women athletes and so dismissive, and he was never going to set up a women's team. And I was just like, what century are we in? This is crazy. But I think with Cycling Culture Club, it's just going to be really, really good to have a diversity of perspectives, different people talking, about their experiences in cycling. I think, for myself, I've been very lucky because at the point where I started to get involved in cycling, the people were there for me, the community was there for me, the culture was there for me. Like I said, BCN offered me the peek behind the curtain. That it was the perfect storm of lockdown and lots of different groups springing up. I rode with TWR, another group that sprung up out of lockdown. I rode with No Limit and CGC and Rafa doing the laps on a Friday. I did the women's laps. I met Jess quite early on as well. It was just one of those things where the door opened and I was able to go from place to place to place to place. And now, you're a veteran in this, Cam, so you know what cycling looked like before 2020. So do you think it looks massively different now?
Yes, and I think culturally the world is better for it. NJ and I are both slightly cycling snobs, and I know that you and I have talked about this before. But what I will say is crucial is the fact that cycling used to be the sport that your dad did, and all the clothes, there weren't women's bikes, and bikes weren't accessible for people. If you were to, it's still a thing today, but it's getting better. The fact that if you buy a women's bike, it comes with 42 centimeter bars, which are far too wide. And as soon as you buy a bike, and as soon as you buy a bike that fits you height-wise, doesn't fit you width-wise because of the bar and stem. Women typically have shorter torsos, so they need the stem changed. The seats aren't correct for women on bikes.
It's not just a women's bike. It's a small bike. Like if you buy a 52 centimeter bike, why do you need 42 centimeter bars? You don't need it. Nobody does, so they shouldn't sell it with that. But
in terms of diversity as well, though, it's so much better than it is now. It used to be Regent's Park, used to be barristers. Sorry, anybody's a barrister, but it was your very typical upper middle class people on Pinarellos talking about Campagnolo versus Shimano, talking about watching the Tour de France. There was no diversity. It was very, very boring. And there was no new ideas. Cycling was very stagnant, frankly, until the pandemic happened. There was nothing pushing it forward. So if you think about it in phases, you had, Gareth said it on his one, which was, you had Chris Boardman happening in the 90s. Then you had Team Sky. And then Team Sky became every Brit's favourite cyclist. Every cycling team, sorry. But there was no diversity in Team GB. There was no diversity in Team Sky.
Yeah,
and then the pandemic happened, and then it was this is that.
I still think it's scandalous Team Ineos / Team Sky haven't got a women's team. It is like, they've got what?
Unbelievable.
Yeah. And, I do find it really exciting, the amount of women that are involved in cycling. Like Coach Watto, he does his training sessions on a Wednesday and Thursday that I never attend because it's at 6 a.m. I mean, 6:30.
Not everyone can get up early.
I just can't do it at the moment. But it's amazing. I love to see like the girls racing, and I've been to quite a few of the races, Herne Hill, Hillingdon, and a few. It's just such an exciting thing to see, and I love to see all the women that are involved with it. Women of all ages. Shout out to my friend Tam, who is post 50, still racing. She's amazing. So I just love it. I love everything about it. And my role, I think, is very, very small in this whole thing of cycling. This community of cycling is very small. But if I can encourage someone to, get the confidence to get on a bike, then that's I'm happy to do that. It's a win. It's a win. It's a win for me. It's a win for her, and it's a win for cycling.
Well, maybe we can end section 2 and head to Q&A with Donna. Thank you. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to third section, the Q&A with Donna. So, Donna, maybe the first question we'll have with you. You're London-based. Where are you typically hanging out when you're riding? Are you, because you're south of the river, are you more Richmond, or are you more for vibes and Regents? What's your crack there?
To be honest, I only really go to Richmond when we're meeting up, when we do brunch rides. I don't go there enough. I tend to more go to Regents. I just think it's just more accessible, easier. Plus, we have like our planned sessions on Tuesdays. Yeah. So even if I don't make 6 a.m., I might get there for 7. Like when I'm properly on it, I like to do Tuesday, Friday, maybe something Saturday, and definitely the club ride Sunday. Richmond is good because it's got a couple of hills in there, so it's good for training. But I generally spend more time at Regents, and I like it, especially in the summer, because you go there, you'll all see somebody from CGC, you'll always bump into someone, and then I can just stop at Rafa on the way home, get a coffee, and then I'll be home in 10 minutes from Rafa.
Nice. Do you think there's more of a pro look in Regents or Richmond as well?
Pro look? Yeah. I think more Richmond. Plus, in Richmond, I think some of the cyclists are a bit more aggressive. And I'll just leave that there. But
let it sit. We're letting it sit. We'll get into that later.
Sit that. But no, I think Regents definitely can be intimidating for people, like when you're new to it. I wasn't really intimidated, but I don't know if it's because of my age or whatever. Like, I don't really give a shit. I think there is a lot of posturing in cycling, and maybe I do some of it myself, but but there is a lot of posturing in cycling. But I really just always try to just not care about it. I don't care what people think about me. I don't care if I'm not wearing things the right way. I don't care if my bike doesn't look exactly how you think it's supposed to look. It's like it's nobody's business, is it? Just leave people. Let people live. I will go Regents and just cycle on my own, and
Yeah.
always have done since I started going there.
Yeah. You mentioned having a coffee in Rafa. Is that your favorite cafe, or is there other cafes out there that people should look out for?
Is it my favorite? I mean, my favorite cafe is just the cafe I can take my bike inside, and there's not many of those in London.
Yeah.
Because I'm not leaving my bike on the road for nobody. I used to really like Look Mum No Hands, but I do like Rafa because I like the coffee. And now that since they changed it, because a couple of years ago it wasn't that great, and you know, you know, yeah, good vibes. Casey will always come in at some point. You can guarantee if you're in Rafa, Casey's going to tell you,
Uh, he lives in
right,
there, doesn't he?
right. So yeah, I don't really have a favorite cycling cafe in London because I don't really go to any others. It's just really just the Rafa Cafe. Outside London, obviously, Cinnamon Cafe is great, and I really like the cafe we used to go to in the Chilterns because the guy there was really nice. He was really welcoming. I can't remember what it's called now. That's how much I liked it. I can't remember the name at all. Uh, but
Is it when the CGC did the Chilterns ride? I don't think I've ever done it, so I'm not sure what the cafe is.
yeah, it's closed down now. Sadly, it's
Oh,
closed down. Yeah, but yeah, the Chilterns ride's really really good. And I was gonna say I like the cafes in Girona, but there's one cafe in Girona that I like. It's not Eat Sleep Cycle. That's all I'll
so
say.
so usually on this section, I'd ask the guest what their dislikes in cycling are, but I know that you have put out a post about the kind of 6 dislikes. So
Mm.
I thought we'd go through them. So
Okay.
the first one is the constant talking about weight, which I
Yeah.
think is quite a very it's quite toxic within toxic angle what
Yeah.
we talk about.
The thing is, obviously, everybody is entitled to discuss their own weight, but people will try and discuss your weight. Like, hold up a minute. Like, there's a line. My weight is not up for public discussion. No one's weight should be up for public discussion.
Someone's had this conversation. Someone's tried to have this conversation with you.
No, I've been told like, oh, you just need to lose. Yeah, I've been told by men in cycling about losing weight to my face. That
Why are men so weird?
I don't know. The thing is, people will say, "Oh, context. Oh, they didn't mean it," and whatever. But before he said, "You just need to lose some weight," he said, "Oh, you've got faster," and then he said, "If you lose a bit more weight." But I had got faster without losing weight. So
That's fucked up.
yeah, so it's that sort of thing. And I've heard it said to men as well, but I just think it's not kind. It's kind of
No.
rude. I don't like that. I don't like the constant talk about weight. I don't like people saying stuff like, "Oh, I've got to earn my cake." It's kind of like you don't need to earn your cake. You're earning your cake. If you're riding 100 kilometers, you need to eat.
If
To
anything,
be
people like
healthy.
undereat all the time.
Yeah, all the time. I see it on rides, and I'm a ride leader as well, and I I have to encourage people to eat. But then obviously you get to a point where you have to have an awareness of, well, maybe they've got an eating disorder. So you can't push people, but you can just tell the ones that are going to bonk because they're not eating. And then if they bonk, they can be dangerous to others. This is what people don't understand, because you haven't got full concentration. So you haven't got full control of the bike. There's a wobble. You go into someone, they're going to hit the ground. But yeah, people, there's an obsession with it. But yeah, I have been told by people about and that's just, to me, that's just beyond the pale. You don't get to say that to me just because you ride a bike or I ride a bike. No. And the reality is, like, coming into cycling, as a black woman who's curvy, like a lot of black women are, not all black women, but a lot of black women are, cycling clothes are very unforgiving, also you're on a bike, so people are seeing you from behind all the time. It's uncomfortable. It's something you do have to get used to. Even though I was used to wearing lycra and stuff from going to the gym, but still wearing cycling clothes, it can be, it's a bit stressful at first. It's a bit stressful, but you get used to it. So a lot of people are conscious about their shapes, especially if you're around people that are thin. A lot of people that are thin, not just like one or two, but a lot of people. And so you stand out. Most people don't really want to stand out, or, especially not for having like the biggest bum in the group or whatever. So for someone to then point it out to you, it's like, you don't know what you're doing to that person. Like, have some empathy, have some compassion, have some sense. You just don't know what people are going through. So yeah, don't talk about people's weights. It's rude.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good. So point 2, assuming people who wear a certain brand are snobby or wanky.
Yeah, I think I felt like I got a lot of not a lot, not it wasn't even criticism, but people noticed. People would mention that I was wearing Rafa, or no, I was mainly wearing Rafa. People would always mention that I was wearing Rafa. I first came across Rafa around, I don't know, it might be 2011, 2012, when I had a road bike and I was looking for stuff because I was commuting to work. And, I looked in the Evans, and some of them didn't even have clothes for women. And then the clothes that I saw were ugly. And I've always been someone that's been into fashion and clothes and trainers, streetwear, since the 80s. So I saw some Rafa in a newspaper and I thought, oh, that looks really good. Yeah, that's a bit of me. So I got a few bits from there. And also, when you're a curvy woman, you can't just go and buy anything. We know that cycling kit is notoriously cut small. Brands like Castelli are known for being really small. Like an XL Castelli, I don't think would fit me. And so the actual choice of what a curvy woman can wear is quite narrow. And I found that Rafa stuff always fitted me, but it just seems to, in cycling, it is very tribal. I notice, like, you either wear
don't
Rafa
understand.
or you don't, or you wear MAP, or you wear Pas Normal. The Pas Normal people don't talk to the Rafa people. The Rafa people don't talk to the MAP. It's just
so hard. It's so fucking hard. It's like being like, it's like I wear Nike, so I'm not going to speak to anyone who wears Adidas.
This is crazy. All right, yeah, because I always used to wear Adidas and then switch to Nike, but I think it's like that in the running world as well. Like the people that run, they kind of band up according to whether they wear Nike or Adidas or On Running. And
Asics. Oh, is it Hoka?
it's a bit mad,
another
you
one?
know. I'm always like, Chanel and Versace exist in the same universe. Like, why can't we?
Yeah, I don't really look at like what the manufacturer is when I buy kit. I'm just like, oh, that looks nice, and I'll just buy it. And I wear like mismatched kit because I'm like, I know it's going to annoy someone, and deep down, that's all I care about
Yeah.
is annoying someone on a group ride. It'll get in their heads,
I never used to like wearing mismatched kit, but now I really don't give a shit.
Yeah, it's quite fun.
Yeah.
I do it all the time.
I don't care.
It's rare that you'll see me in all like one brand because I'm like, I'm not a sponsored athlete, so why would I do it?
Yeah, to be fair, like, probably.
I have no idea what you're talking about there.
Oh, he's a snob. He's definitely a snob.
They call him Map Allen for a reason.
We still love him. But to be fair, like, you know, you should just wear whatever you like. Wear whatever you like.
This is what I bought
What's that?
recently.
What is that?
And this
Is
is
it
a
Spats?
Spats Aero sock. Mate, I haven't
Aero
ridden a
sock.
bike properly in 3 months because my bike's currently broken. I've got that. What have I got? Got some pop cycling bidons that have arrived. I've got 2 3D printed saddles. One of them is going to go back. But
I need one of those.
you can have this one on. So this is a physique one. Oh, this is getting so off the rails if you're not watching this. I bought a Chinese Alibaba one for 50 quid. Actually pretty good.
I remember.
A physique
Is it any good?
proper one. This, if you like the PSA for anyone listening, if you like the S-Works wider Ronin saddle, this is good. I prefer the
That's what I need.
longer one.
We'll talk after.
I'll send you to this on the post.
We'll talk after. Okay.
So
on.
3, aggression. We'll just
Aggression. Yeah.
mainly male cyclists, but we'll just go just well, we know it's male cyclists, so aggressive male cyclists.
Yeah. It happens, you know. It happens. Someone will, you know, maybe you'll make a mistake. We're all human, you know. Just because we're cyclists, we're not perfect. But I remember I was in Richmond Park one day. I was with Lisa C, and yeah, we you know, they put those stupid gates at the bottom of the hill.
Oh yeah,
just on that little roundabout. So we slowed down, but we kept going. There were pedestrians to the right, but I saw them. You know, I looked. Obviously, I looked.
Yeah.
They were nowhere near us. And we're riding and we're chatting, and this guy just comes up to me and starts screaming, "Oh, you didn't see these people
on a bike?"
Yeah, he was on a bike. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, did a pedestrian run?
Random. Yeah, he was running really fast, just screaming, and I was like, "Don't shout at me! Don't shout at me! Like, you can talk to me, but don't shout at me."
That's odd.
And I just think, like, if that had been a man he did that to, that I don't know what men are like in general, but I'm sure that would have been a fight. I know some men that would have been a fight straight off. Like, who are you talking to?
I don't think he would have done it if it was a man, if I'm being honest.
Well,
I agree with you, NJ.
And you know, people are like, "Oh, cyclists are all really friendly," but you know, I know in London people are just a bit more aggressive, aren't they?
Yeah, and in all walks of life, there's going to be dickheads.
Yeah, exactly. And I just think sometimes people are just a bit entitled. They just, you know, obviously I don't look like somebody maybe who's been riding for 30 years, you know, who races or who's got a FTP, or I don't know what the FTP is, but or 300 watts of power. But you know, I am a person. You know, I deserve to be on the road. I'm entitled to be on the road just as much as you. You don't have the right to scream at me just because I'm doing something you don't like. I think it's disrespectful. And I spoken to other women cyclists, and you know, they've experienced aggressive behavior from cyclists, from drivers. You know, it's bad sometimes, on the road, because you're getting it from all sides. You're not just getting it from the drivers, you're getting it from the cyclists too. It's like, who's on my side?
Get no wins.
No wins.
This, you didn't, I don't think you've written this, but I'm just going to lob it in. What I hate is when I'm in a group and we're just chatting, and then like two women will cycle past us, and then the people on the front, who are usually guys, can't deal with it, and then they'll like speed up. I'm like, why are we speeding up? Like, it doesn't matter. We're chatting here. It's just like, why are we doing this? Just they're cycling faster than us.
They call it being chicked, apparently, because I heard somebody use that phrase, but basically it's when a woman passes you, and then the man decides, don't worry, I know all about that one.
Winds me
And
the fuck up.
it happens all the time. It does happen, and other girls have complained about it. When I did a solo ride to Windsor, which is probably the longest solo ride I've done, apart from in my events, and I passed this guy, and then he passed me, and I thought, okay, well, I'm going to pass you again, because they pass and then they slow down, and that happens in Ride London as well. That was happening so much the first time I did it, but I'm just a bit ignorant, and I just shout at them. I say to them, if you're going to pass me, you need to maintain the speed, because I'm going to pass you. And a lot of the times, some of them, they don't even say when they're going to move. They just cut in front of you, and just really poor riding. Another thing that some of these guys do is when you're going uphill, I don't know if this happens to you, but they will just get on your wheel, let you pull them up, and then you get near the top, and then they just
sprint at the end.
No, they just come out. You didn't even know they were there. Just some guy sitting on your ass.
A friend of mine told me about that.
Creepy.
She was cycling in like Yorkshire or something, and said that she would just turn around, there was just a bloke there. Didn't even bother to say hello. She's on her own. I've had it happen to me where someone just sits on my wheel, and I'm like, I turn around, so you want to say hello? But like, she told me he was on her wheel for like 10 kilometers. He just sat there, didn't say anything, just stared at her bum. It's weird. Yeah. It's weird.
You know the etiquette, right? You don't just jump on someone's wheel like that, do you? Like, even if you're in Regent's Park and there's like a little group going around, I think that's okay, just about. As long as you don't impede them, as long as you don't just someone on their own. It's weird behaviour, man.
Yeah, when I was doing, I guess, my threshold efforts in Regent's Park Inners, this guy just sat on my wheel. When I'm doing a training session, just so you know, so I'll be like going hard for 15, like I'm going to be like going pretty hard, and he's like, yeah, that's fine. And then I'd go hard for 15 minutes and then rest 5 minutes in between, and then I slowed down to like 100 watts basically, and then he just slowed down as well with me, and then when I went fast again, he was on the back. So I was just like, this is really odd. And then like Big T came in and then was just like, oh, who's your mate? And I was like, I don't know, I've never met this guy before. I've been here for like, I've done a 45-minute threshold session with like rest in between. He's just been sat on my wheel. And it was like, what? It was just like, there's bizarre behavior out there.
That is strange behavior.
Yeah. So on number 4 is about brands not making clothes to fit body. I think you just sort of covered that with Rafa.
Yeah.
So we'll go on to unsolicited advice. We mentioned it earlier, but we can go a bit more deep.
Yeah. Your seat's too low is a common refrain, isn't it? I think every woman's heard that. Just, any group ride that you go on. When I did London to Paris the first year, one of the I'd had my bike serviced, but then the next day got up, the disc brake was squeaking or something. It was making a noise.
I think everyone's discs squeak, don't they?
I can't remember if it had rained overnight or something, but the bikes were in like a tent covered place. They had security watch the bikes. So I have no idea. There was just a bit of grit on it or something. And this guy was like, oh, you need to learn how to change your disc brake pads.
It could also not be the pad. It could be like contamination on the disc, couldn't it?
That's
There's
what I
a
think
lot
it
of
was.
things.
That's exactly what it was. I said it's just been serviced. The brake pads are new, but all right, that's a minor. But just you just always do just get unsolicited advice. I think for me, it's calmed down a lot.
Yeah.
But people always assume if people don't know you, it's not necessarily definitely not in CGC because people know me, but when you're going to ride with other groups, people treat you like you don't know anything about cycling. It's just their manner, their attitude, or oh, so where do you ride normally? And when you tell them like, oh, I can't think of any really good examples of unsolicited advice. Well, apart from
Yeah, I think it just happens. They'll just
news,
like tell you no matter what.
news
It'll be like
feed.
on stuff like routes or why have you got a Wahoo when you should have this Garmin because this Garmin does this and you're like, I don't care. I don't care.
Yeah, exactly. It's like or your bottles don't match. I don't care. Like yeah,
Yeah, I think the only thing I'm guilty of is telling people like nutritional wise what to do because I'm like, just put carb in your bottles. Just please do that. Like, and then you don't have to worry about eating. It's like in your
right.
drinking and your fueling. That's all like because that's what I do.
That's
And
a good tip. But I always
and
do
I just
anyway.
and I find it's just like so much more easy than being like, oh, I got to eat this flatjack and remember because it's like all I have to do is drink 2 bottles and that's done me for like they both got 80 grams of carbonates. That's what
Yeah.
2-3 hours worth of like something I don't have to worry about. So I'm just like, if people just do that, but people get weird about like I have to have a 500 milliliter bottle on my bike and not 750 and stuff like that. I'm like, it doesn't matter, Cam. Just get the 750.
People
Carb yourself
can.
up to the eyes.
No. It's 500 on nothing. I'm not having a thermos of fuel on my bike.
If Poggy can do it in the Tour de France, so can you.
He's overrated. Like he's overrated like Remco.
I only use a 750 when I'm doing the long distance stuff. But
to be honest with you, the reason I do the 500 is actually maths. It's just maths because 2 500 bottles is always going to be a litre. So I can only ever. So then I don't have to think about is that a litre and a half, or I've had a quarter of that bottle, so I've had a 750 plus a litre of fluid, and it's just for me, it's just another thing because I don't eat enough on the bike fundamentally. So if I know I've got the 500, I know that's a litre. And I know it's I just forget. And I've even got beeps on my Wahoo like eat, and I'm like, oh, shut the fuck up! I'm trying to ride my bike.
I have that. That's revolutionary. That's revolutionary. That alarm.
Yeah, I don't do the beeps. I just constantly because when you're in a group, I'm always just like everyone's always fucking hammering it. So I'm like, when it's calm, I'll just be like, trying to get as much drinking as possible in like a calm moment.
When you're like racing, it's actually getting the food in you is a major issue. Well, obviously I manage it, but on a club ride, I don't know how you guys do it. You ride at that speed and then have to eat food as well.
Just liquids, just pure liquids, and then I'll try and get up a climb as quick as possible. So if try and like be like not the last person. It's not the best advice I'd ever give everyone. When everyone's recovering, your feed.
Here, happy to take it. But yeah.
And then number six, Donna, is workers in the cycling industry talking down to women.
Yeah, I've heard some horror stories. I'm not even going to lie. I've heard some horror stories and stuff just not done properly. By people, or women going in, knowing what they want, saying, I need one of these, and then being questioned about why they need it and are they sure? And you just why, if I come in and I say, look, I need a derailleur, why are you going to ask me if I I mean, it's
Very
quite
specific
specific
part.
thing, isn't it? Yeah. Quite a specific thing. So, yeah, I think, that is just the reality of women, I guess, in all areas of life, in work. Obviously, it's not all bad. It's not all bad. I talk a lot about the joy of cycling, but
Yeah.
there's definitely some things about it which are annoying and which I think are an experience that, a lot of women share.
Yeah. Now, talking about joy, Donna, I think it's time that
Joy.
Cam hits you with some propaganda.
Yeesh. Yeah.
White bib shorts. Where are we? Are you wearing white bib shorts? April the 1st, I think, is the day provisionally we've got for our pave ride. White shorts encouraged. Where do you feel on the white bib shorts? Are you a fan? Are you not a fan? And could it ever be a possibility for you?
I mean, I'm sure it's got a place. It's got a place. I've seen some people in white bib shorts, and I mean, some look better than others. But me personally, like a lot of cyclists, a lot of these, smaller cyclists, I don't think they're really filling them out enough.
You need the bunda.
I think, yeah.
That is a word I was expecting Cam to even say. It was not on my bingo list tonight.
You said it. I mean, not just bunda, but I don't know, like a bit of leg meat as well.
Get on there.
That's all. That's all. I think it has its place, and everyone is free to wear whatever they want. Would I personally wear white bib shorts? When I did London to Paris last year, there was a beautiful woman from South Africa. She came with her club, and she had an all white fit on, and she looked incredible.
Damn.
Yeah. She looked incredible. She sold it to me. I would wear it on a short ride. I just, when I'm out on a ride,
little chat labs number.
I'm drinking, I'm using gels, I'm putting the gels in my pocket. Everything I wear gets filthy. So personally, I don't know if I could do white bib shorts. Maybe in Girona, somewhere where it's going to be hot, it's going to be dry, it's going to be clean. London's too filthy.
Grimy.
I mean, London to Surrey, London to Kent, Essex, it's too filthy for that, man. Do you think?
So London. So NJ and I. This will go into the next question. NJ and I quite like Belgium classics, muddy.
Yeah.
The white bib shorts. That's not an environment for that kind of apparel, for those kind of garms. So I agree. It's going to be. It's got to be. It's got to be. Like chat laps, no coffee. You can't drink coffee in case someone spills something on you. It has to be because otherwise it looks like you catch yourself.
It's also a pipe cleaner, so you can't take the risk.
Yeah, you've got to be super careful in the white bibs.
Well, that rules me out because I'm just very messy. I always anytime I'm wearing white, whatever I drink just ends up on it. So but
yeah, I
know do you, feeling. Man? Do you fly the white flag? Do it. Do it, man.
He has, and he will do it more. And our final question of this
do it.
Our final section is final question is cobbles or mountains, Donna? What do you like cycling on?
What do I like cycling on? Well, definitely not cobbles. You're mad. Mountains, yeah, I like the views.
Are you mad?
You mad?
Are you mad, bro?
Why would I give myself even more pain? Yeah, it's fun. Like a short section is fun. Like, you know, during a ride, a little bit of a different terrain. I mean, I did love seeing Lizzie Dinan win the first Paris-Roubaix. It was she was
So good.
it was
Unbelievable.
It was stunning. It was to see that, you know, during my short cycling career. It's a real
incredible.
moment to see all those women just riding so hard. It was, yeah, it's incredible. Like when you watch them, you literally feel like you're on the bike with them.
I think it was the end when she was on the podium and you could see that she'd taped her hands up, you know, like if you play rugby or something. And you could see the blisters on her hands from holding the bike like that.
Yeah,
so it
she
hasn't
was bloody.
The friction.
She was bloody. But yeah, I totally appreciate all the pros that ride on that. Me personally, I never even thought I'd ride in mountains. It just wasn't something I even thought about until a couple of years ago. So even getting to do like the baby climbs that I'm doing, I mean, I'm loving it. Loving it. I love the views. You know, I always say to people, some of the women I meet, they're like, oh, I don't like hills. And I just always say, like, if you don't ride hills, you won't see the best views. And that's what I love about the mountains, just up in the clouds. I mean, I used to ski and snowboard, so
yeah,
I do like being at the top of a mountain.
It's good.
Amazing.
What was the first mountain you did?
I guess it was, it's in Girona. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know if that's like a proper mountain, but yeah.
If you're going uphill, it's probably a mountain.
Yeah. First European climb in Girona, because the Ironman bike course in Barcelona is pretty flat. It's got rollers, but no climb. The first mountain I did was Ditchling Beacon, really. So
yeah. I don't like that climb. So like,
it's rough, man.
Man, fuck Ditchling Beacon with all the cars trying to get past you on the like.
Yeah,
it's like it says it's double lane. It says it's double lane, but it's single lane, and there's cars on either side, and you're just up there chewing step.
Yeah, single track. Yeah, that is what really scared me more than the actual climb, is being clipped in and not having. I wasn't clipped in that long, and then these cars were like there. It was too scary. So the first time I tried to go up it, I just had to walk it. And I've been back a few times since, and it's got better. It's definitely better. But you know, going places like Scotland and Girona has really helped. In May, I'm going to go to Rwanda with Black Unity Bike Ride, because that is the organisation that I'm working with. I'm now a trustee of BUBR, but I wanted to go. I just wanted to go on the trip. I want to go to Africa. Rwanda is actually it's really known for its active lifestyle there. The people are very active. It's also a centre for Africa Rising cycling, so it's a hub for elite cyclists in Africa, and I'm really excited. It's also known as the land of 1,000 hills.
Oh yeah, I think the World Championships is there in 2025.
Yes.
So good.
So I will be at North London Hills. We're gonna do some good cycling out there. It's like I'll be there for 7 days, I think.
Oh wow, that's gonna be. I reckon.
So I'm really excited about it. I'm really excited about it. Yeah.
Well, Donna, kind of brings our time to a close.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being on the podcast with NJ and I. We've really appreciated having you on and look forward to having you on again soon. Where can people find you, and what have you got in the pipeline other than maybe BUBR? What have you, what things you've got working on?
Well, I think I'm gonna probably take it easy this year, to be honest. No. Yeah, well, I'm training for get a bit ready for Girona, Ford Ride London. I'm doing in May. I'm doing some work around that with the Ford Ride London team, on raising awareness of the different distances that people can do. So I'll be doing some stuff with them. Rwanda will be in May. June, nothing on schedule. July, potentially half Ironman. I just haven't decided which one yet. But I'd like to do it early in the year so then I can enjoy August, because that is carnival month and I don't want to do any events in August. I just need to enjoy myself and get to carnival. Yeah, and that's it for now. People can find me at _Iron Empress on Instagram. And yeah, that's
excellent. Well, it's I guess it's thanks and bye from me.
Bye from me.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Cheers.
Bye from me.
Bye.
Bye.